Hello children, welcome to our online classes, and today's theme is English language. See, when it comes to academic acquisition of knowledge, we have three subjects: mathematics, science and social studies, and we learn three other languages: one regional language, one national language and an international language. Unfortunately, many of the students, when asked the question, how many subjects are there in your class, everybody answers 6. No, Telugu, Hindi and English, they are not subjects, they are languages. So, if we adopt the same approach as that of the subjects, we won't be successful in learning language. Acquisition of language totally needs a different approach. So, let us try to understand how language should be learned. The first lesson that we need to learn is English is a language, but not a subject. English is a language but not a subject. So first, when we understand the very basic principle, how do we learn subjects? We revise, and unfortunately sometimes we even mug up. But that approach is not going to work for the acquisition of language. Okay? Language is a skill. We need to be trained in language. Instruction of the language is never going to make us an effective user of language. To become an effective user of language, we have to be trained in it, not instructed. Okay? So that's the reason why we say English is a language but not a subject. Now, what are the basic skills in language? L, S, R and W. What does L stands for? L stands for listening. What does L stand for? Listening. Unfortunately, even with this word, many people mispronounce it. How do they read it? They read it as listen, listening. No, that's wrong. English has to be spoken the way it has to be spoken. The words have to be articulated clearly. So, it is listening, not listening. I hope from now on you will definitely take care of the pronunciation of this word. So, what is the basic skill of any language? Listening. After listening comes speaking. And what is the third one? R stands for reading and W stands for writing. These are the four basic skills: L, S, R, W. L stands for listening, S stands for speaking, R for reading and W for writing. Now, my dear children, our classes are designed in such a way that you first develop three comprehensions. What are they? What is the meaning of the word comprehension? I just now said our classes are designed. Our classes are designed to develop three types of comprehension. What are they? We will learn. But first, I want you to know the meaning of the word comprehension. The word comprehension stands for understanding. What does the word comprehension stand for? Understanding. When we say listening comprehension, when we say speaking comprehension or reading comprehension, that means understanding what we have listened. So, we should pay utmost care and attention when we are listening to someone. In our class, our lesson, when we instruct the lesson, you have to observe. Okay. So when we start, when you are listening to the class, the first thing you have to observe is how the trainer or the language instructor is articulating the word. What is the meaning of articulation? Pronunciation. How is the word being pronounced? Why? English is a different language. Unlike the other languages, we don't read everything that we write. You didn't understand? I'll make it more simple. In English, we have a concept called silent letters. In other languages, we don't have these silent letters. Take any language, Telugu, Hindi, Urdu, to that matter, any language, we read whatever is written. Whereas in English, we have a concept called silent letters. That's the reason why we need to pay attention to the pronunciation of the word. When I read out, when the teacher reads out the text, observe where a pause is being taken, where the voice is being raised, that is called intonation. Okay, so all these things should be observed. So when the English class commences, make it a point that you carry your textbook with you. Whenever language class is going on, the textbook should be with you. Okay, so we observe the pronunciation of a word. After the pronunciation of the word, we have to pay attention for the meaning of the word. Meaning of the word. And what's the third one? After the meaning of the word, we have to know in which context can we use that word. In which context can we use that word? This has to be learnt. And the next one is the parts of speech of the word. Parts of speech of the word, that also has to be learned. And the most important thing, spelling of the word. So when we pay attention to all these things, then we develop our vocabulary. The main purpose of putting so many poems and lessons in our textbooks is to enrich our vocabulary, to strengthen our vocabulary. Language is made of two things. One is vocabulary and the other is grammar. I'll cover this grammar point later, but first let us confine ourselves and let us be considerate only about vocabulary. What's vocabulary? The collection of words. The collection of words in a language is called vocabulary. All the words. Now for instance, take a dictionary. If you take an Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, there are close to 10 lakh word entries in that. And these 10 lakh words is considered as the vocabulary of English. What is vocabulary? Collection of words. So my dear students, that is what we do. We develop our vocabulary and we learn the spelling of the word, the context in which that word has to be used, the meaning of the word, and the pronunciation of the word. When we do all this, then we become perfect with the language. Then after the completion of the lesson, we have grammar part. So, grammar is the glamour of the language. The more efficiently we can frame our sentences grammatically correct, that will add grace and beauty to the language. So, grammar adds grace to our language. Language can be compared to a garland. You know a garland? Yes. Garland is made of flowers. What are the two important things in a garland? One is the thread, and what's the other important thing? Flowers. Likewise, we compare language to a garland. What is the thread? The thread is grammar. Grammar is considered as the thread. Then what are the beautiful flowers? Beautiful flowers can be compared to the words. So if you wish to make a garland more beautiful, you choose more variety of flowers. Likewise, if you wish to make your language more attractive, impressive, influencing, then you need to go for the variety of words. My dear children and necessarily parents, please understand, a man's thought process is confined to the words he knows. I repeat because I wish to emphasize this point. A person's thought process is confined to the words he knows. The more words you know, the more you can think. Give it a try. Can you think about something which can't be defined with a word, which can't be limited with a word? No, you can't. You need words to think, right? And what is language? When I am speaking, what am I doing now? I am organizing my thoughts, and to those thoughts, I am providing appropriate words. I am making a choice of words to convey my ideas. So all this is happening within a fraction of a second. So acquisition of language is very, very important. We have to acquire English language in such a way that we think in English. Okay, so if we have to think in English, then we should be perfect with many words. The more words we know, more efficient our language will be. And what do we call all those words? All those words put together is called vocabulary. And the arrangement of the words in a sequential way is called grammar. So, our lessons in English language are designed in such a way that every child develops all these three types of comprehension: listening comprehension, speaking comprehension, and reading comprehension. We have already seen what does the word comprehension stand for? Understanding. So, we have to understand what we listen to. We have to make others understand what we speak, and we should also understand what we read. That is called listening comprehension, speaking comprehension, and reading comprehension. The lessons and poems are designed to develop these three comprehensions, and then the grammar part will help us to develop our writing skills. The more vocabulary or the word bank we have, our writing skills will improve. How to write a letter, how to write an essay, how to write a short message, right? So, the beauty of language is speak little but convey more. That's how our communication skills should be. What does it say? Speak little but convey more. Whatever little we speak should carry a lot of meaning in that. And how can you do that? When you can make your thoughts precise. Okay, so for that we need to develop our language. So after every lesson we have pronunciation, then meaning of the word, context of the word in which it has to be used, parts of speech, spelling, all these things can be learnt. Now you can learn this either with the help of a lesson or a poem. But as I told, my dear children, please understand, English or to that matter Telugu and Hindi are also not subjects that we finish the lesson, write the question and answers, by heart them and reproduce it in the examination. No, that's not how acquisition of language should happen. English is a language. And how can this be developed? Through practice. What is the second important lesson? The second important lesson is language is a skill. How do you define language as? Language is a skill. And how does a skill develop? It develops through practice. It develops through practice. That's what we do here in our online classes. We give ample examples to practice, whether it be speaking oral practice or written practice. Okay? Practice makes a man perfect. You might have heard this quotation 1,000 times. True. When you practice something, it becomes a skill. So, language is a skill, and how can that skill be developed? Through practice. Okay? So, now what happens? When we practice, we make mistakes. Am I right or wrong? True. When we practice, we commit mistakes. Now don't hesitate. Don't be shy. Don't think of other people who will make fun of you. No. Why? Mistakes are miracles. Mistakes are miracles. The more mistakes you commit in language practice, the more you will learn. So don't hesitate, don't shy. What happens if you go wrong? Your trainer will help you to mend your ways, to correct the mistakes that you have done. So, my dear children, if you are looking at improving your linguistic competence, never shy, never be afraid. No matter what happens, commit as many mistakes as possible. Why? It is because mistakes are miracles in our language practice. Okay, my dear children. So, this is what we'll do. We shall design the lesson in such a way that we have ample reading practice, listening practice, and speaking practice. And to develop our grammar, after end of every lesson, grammar concepts will be taught and practice exercises will be given. Now, you need to understand language is to be trained, not instructed. So, here in these online classes, we will give you ample opportunities to develop your language. Right? I hope I have made the language instruction and training part very clear. If you have any doubts, you can definitely shoot them. You can ask them. Right? Thank you so much. I hope you all enjoyed this session and I wish you all a very happy learning. Thank you.